Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Deal Room. I'm your host, Gabe Bowling. In today's episode, we have a very good friend and investor, Sam Silverman, visiting the office in Tampa. Thank you, Sam, for being here. Where are you coming from again?
So coming from Miami here for a few nights, but yeah, thanks for having me. Awesome place, really good seeing the team, and what you've been on here.
You know, it's interesting. We've known each other. I don't know if we connected when I was at Grants, but shortly after Grants. And we've known each other for like almost 3 years now, and the amount of growth that I've seen you happen to have, it's just, you don't find many people that maybe are like, normally whenever you find people, they're either too far ahead of you or like too far behind you. And it's very few times do you meet somebody where it's like, we're on a similar path, you're a little bit farther ahead of me, but you're somebody that's constantly focused on growing and doing more with your life, and it's really good to have a good relationship with you. I just wanted to say that, because there's maybe 10 people that I can count that I actually like want to be friends with, want to trust, want to be around, and like want to talk about business, mastermind, like how can we grow together. It's just so hard to find that, so I figured to say thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And it's interesting too, because you have people who are, like you said, in different areas, where you kind of have three people you're split around, right? One is the people who are ahead of you, who you look up to in a certain way, you try to emulate certain things, you go learn from them. Two are people that are behind you, who are still kind of figuring certain things out, where it gives you a good example of how to go teach, how to go support them, and how to go bring them along in a certain way too, and that you provide value in mutual ways. Then third, you have people who are in plus or minus within your range, that you spend time with, right, go build things together with, right, face similar problems with, that you're becoming friends with as well, right, you're kind of working through those things together. So it's important to have people in each one of those three buckets.
Yeah, very interesting. All right, so for everybody that doesn't know who you are, why don't we start with like where you're at today? You're obviously in Tampa. I've seen you travel all over the freaking world. It's super awesome. I admire what you're doing with your time today. Why don't we start with where you're at today, what your focus is, and then let's rewind the clock, because the very first time that you told me that you started business at like 12 or 13 or something, it's like a really cool story to hear, and I just want to unpack it, let everybody kind of hear your story and get to know you.
Yeah, so today I do a few things that are all tied together in a certain way. So one, I run the Freedom Framework community with the sole intention of helping people leave their corporate jobs or replace it with cash flow, whether that be through buying commercial real estate, whether it be through raising capital, whether it be through buying a business, right? So our intention there is to help people go follow a path somewhat similar to myself.
Yep.
Right, I left my corporate job 30 months ago, like 2 days ago.
Really?
And that was,
good for you.
Yeah, 2.5 year mark. And that was probably the best decision I've ever made in my entire life. I'm
sure. We're going to get into that and all the fun stuff.
Yeah. So that's one piece of it, right? So that community has been awesome in terms of meeting partners. We built a company out of it called The Pave, which I work on. We're actually buying paving companies, myself and two partners, to go roll up. We see a huge opportunity there. And then some other ancillary projects too, right? So we still have a lot of real estate holdings. We're kind of taking the foot off the gas there a bit, more so shifting to business acquisition, and looking at buying or building certain firms that we have some kind of a competitive advantage in.
What do you mean by that?
So, for example, right, take yourself. You have the Deal Room. You've got 50K people in a free community. Right, provide a lot of value to them. In turn, you have distribution to those people. Right, you provide them with a level of value, networking, community, right, some level of education, and in turn, I'm sure a lot of those people think of you in a positive way. So if you look at, you're doing deals in a certain way, what are those things that you spend money on? So then you can go find partners, whether it be affiliates, whether it be things you buy, things you build, to go support those people. So it's finding areas in which you have some level of advantage, whether it be distribution, whether it be contacts, whether it be acquisition pipeline, whether it be capital, whatever you have that you have an advantage in, figure out how to go leverage that a certain way to find mutual beneficial wins for people around you.
Yeah, very interesting. I see a lot that we can jam into. So I understand what you're doing today. It sounds like you're doing a lot, and you came in through real estate, or it seems like real estate, over the last 24 months. I know that you raised a ton of money. How much have you raised, out of curiosity?
I think we're around 100, give or take.
Yeah, because I remember initially getting together with you, I was like, okay, this guy's like he's a hitter. He's raising a ton of money for a ton of deals. And then I've seen which I think is a really smart pivot, with the whole freedom framework. I think it's perfect, but I know you came in kind of initially through that raising capital world. Why don't we talk a little bit about that, and then I want to go back to like the come up. How'd you even get into like the business world and all that? But for the real estate portion, because a lot of listeners here, they're like, should I raise capital? Should I do small deals? I know you found a really good spot in the raising capital world. What was your entry to it, and how did you even start raising capital?
So I'll preface it to like whatever angle you're looking at going, whether you want to go buy companies, whether you want to go buy real estate, whether you want to go be an owner operator. If you know how to raise capital, any path you choose to go, it won't hurt you, right? Like whatever you choose to do, whether you want to go build a business, buy real estate, right? Syndicate deals, buy your own deals. The ability to go raise capital and get people to go back your ideas with their money is one of the most valuable skills you can go have.
I'm glad you said it. Raising capital and marketing, I believe. Marketing's kind of the same, it's the same thing, but the ability to go and get money for your project.
For sure.
Okay, cool. So because I can spend so much time in the deal world and the raising of the capital stuff, why don't we back it up just so people can understand, how old are you today?
I'm 30.
30. You look good for 30, man. Not gonna lie.
Take it.
You look good. What's your life look like? You don't have to spend a ton of time, but like, did you grow up? Did you come from money? Did you come from the middle class, poverty? Like, how'd you get into the business world? What is your story?
Yeah, so I came from a family that was pretty average.
Really?
Right, like not super wealthy, a lot of fluctuations in terms of the economy.
Yeah.
So I've always had to go do my own thing and earn from a very young age, which I think helped in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Right. If you come from a place of abundance at a really young age, I think that's a whole different conversation too. Of if you have kids and you have money, how do you make sure they still have hustle without having to go through certain things trauma-wise to get to a place where they want to be?
Yep.
So for me, I had to go figure things out pretty young.
Yeah.
So in turn, it kind of led me to doing some entrepreneurial type things. But
where'd you grow up from?
Brooklyn, New York.
Ah, New York.
Brooklyn, New York. So I think like another whole topic too.
Yeah.
I think everyone at some point should do at least 1 year in a big city.
Yeah.
Whether it be a New York, an LA, a Chicago, a Miami, like do a big city for a year.
Yeah.
You'll learn a ton about people, right? Diversity, energy, hustle, and maybe realize that this is great and make you think differently, or realize this is absolutely not for me and I want to get out of as far away as possible.
But at least you stamped it, you validated it
100%.
By going and doing it. Very interesting. So you grew up in Brooklyn, New York. So you go through school, do you go to college?
So went to college, originally had kind of higher aspirations of playing much higher level baseball.
Really?
That did not pan out very well.
When did you find out? I found out my senior year when I thought I was good enough to go and like play D1, and then I was waiting for offers to come in, and then like I had a charity handout from a JUCO. It's like, if you want to come walk on, you can. So that was hard for me.
Yeah, mine was my sophomore year of high school got pretty turbulent.
Really?
Where at that point, my freshman year, I had scouts from 10, 12 big name D1 schools that would come out and watch me play.
Yeah.
And then that just totally fell off with things I had going on at home, right? Not being able to go to school pretty frequently, hopping around, changing schools, not living at home. So all those things can take away from it. So I'm really curious always as to how far could I have gone.
Yeah.
I'm also really grateful too that I wasn't just a little bit better at the time of college, after college, where I'm 30. I have a lot of friends who are my age, give or take, who are just now done playing indie ball, done playing minor league ball, and they're starting totally from scratch.
Yep.
And I'm really grateful that, I'm curious, but I'm really grateful I wasn't just good enough to go hang around, but not good enough to go make it a career.
Yeah, it's funny. We probably have like 5 or so people in our community that are all ex-athletes, baseball athletes that hung out in single A. I don't know what the league below that, but like going and playing around and not making any money for
really
like
tough.
5 years, and you scrap, like you don't make any money. Yeah. But you have this, what if feeling if I get to the big leagues, and they all end up like hanging up the cleats and coming in, like, because you're obsessed about this sport. You're just in maybe the wrong vehicle, and you get obsessed. You take the same obsession, you put it in the right vehicle, and next thing you know, like your life can take off.
It also depends too on some people I played with. That was their only shot at breaking out of like a middle class barrier.
Got it.
Right, a lot of people were very low income, right? I think I was the only true white person on my team growing up in New York.
Yeah.
Right? Awesome talent, amazing people, but just a lot of their paths would have been union workers or like these middle type management type roles in terms of their peak. So for them, if you don't have other options, and that's your path of like, this is how we can really make it, that makes sense going on to go pursue it. But if you're someone who may have other options you can go pursue, right, it's really important to understand, like, is this worth it? Because the rookie ball, like you're mentioning, you make nothing. Baseball's a really tough sport where you make so little for so long unless you're a very high round draft pick. The NBA, there's 2 rounds, you know really quickly, and you get paid day one. And you'll get paid at 19, 20, 21 years old. Baseball, you may be 30, 32 before you get your first post-arbitration deal.
Very interesting. I never looked at it like that. Okay, so you're coming out of school. You realize that baseball isn't going to be the thing for you, which is a blessing in disguise. Where do you enter the business world? Is it through like starting businesses and like selling stuff to people, or do you go work for somebody?
So out of college, or like right then end of college, I had one internship. I was super unqualified. I had decent grades in college because like a 3.0. High school is more of like a 2.1.
A's, B's, and C's to get degrees for me. That's what I was rocking with.
But for me too, like 0 resume and get an internship at Paychex, which I'm glad I never had to go work there. Was there for a day, got fired, still don't know why. And go start applying to all these jobs on a job board, and eventually got one. Like super small tech startup out of Ybor, actually. Like we would cold call, and you listen to cold calls, you could hear the roosters and chickens in the background of those calls. And like 30-person company. If I'm wearing what I'm wearing right now, I'm wearing sweats and a t-shirt. I was dressed nicer than half people in the office. Super casual, super tech startup type vibe. And it was awesome. Like cold called, learned a ton of people. I think my first year made $37,000.
Nice. Welcome. Welcome to. So it was a sales position?
It was a sales role. So inside sales, SDR work. So you are calling people, trying to go book meetings, getting told to go play in traffic 99 times a day. And you deal with a lot of rejection. You also learn a ton. Like I got super lucky there. My CEO, who we're still friends this day, I've now worked for him 3 times as well. He was, when you have a CEO, you typically have either especially in tech, a product-driven CEO or a sales-driven CEO. I got really lucky I had the latter.
Interesting.
So I got to go hang out in his office every single day, harass him with questions, and go learn a ton from someone who knew sales, psychology, and people insanely well.
Interesting. I'm guessing the product person's the person that focuses on delivering the absolute best product and assumes the sales will come in because the product is so awesome.
Like if you find a deal, the money just comes to you, right?
No. Okay, cool. So is that, I'm pretty sure that's where, because I know you had the buyout and all the fun stuff. How does that transpire? So you start there, and is that the one that actually...
I start there, and that company actually shut down 10 months in.
Oh, wow.
That company shut down. We were late to market. The investors didn't want to keep funding it. And we actually, a bunch of us went to a competitor. So I was there for about a year in like true bullpen sales mode, right? 50 people on a sales floor. I was the top person there every single month. And because that was a job too that, like I've used sales and a lot of things where you have your output in terms of your effort, right? Like how many actions are you taking? And then you have your conversion. Of those actions, what % of those do you convert? And for me, I can control the former really well. So I go bust my ass and do that. So I can outperform everyone purely by effort. Then in doing so, I got really good at the second part of it, right? Actually converting people. So in turn, my CEO, my former CEO, basically picked me out of the bullpen type scenario to go build a company or build a team at a publicly traded company. Where it was a matter of, if you do well, you have unlimited resources to go grow. Right? We'll back you, we'll fund you. So do well, it's there. If not, you're fired. Right? So
great structure for the right person.
100%. And I credit a lot of it to him as well. Having someone who will give you a step-up type role is huge. So I view it as, say I was a 4 going into that role out of 10. This role requires you to be a 7. You go figure it out. You're now a 7. So I'm super grateful that I had the opportunity to go put myself in those scenarios where I could go level up and get better at that.
Very interesting.
Built that team to about 120 people globally in about a year and a half. He moved on eventually. I moved on eventually. But in that time, I started buying single-family homes.
Interesting. I was going to ask, where in the world does the real estate thing come in?
So that was kind of, I started making good money. Right? It went from think 37 first year to like 120 to like 250, then 500 plus.
Something
the rest
I
of the
think
way.
that we're passing is the emphasis, and this probably works with your audience too, is like developing that skill set to increase the amount of income that you make. That was probably the greatest thing you did, so you could control
100%.
the amount of income that you make.
So for me, I knew I wanted to work for myself at some point. I had no clue what that was going to be.
Yeah.
So my take was, in that period of time while I figure it out, I'm okay sacrificing things socially, in terms of my time spent in travel, and in that window of time, I'm okay working my ass off to go make as much money as possible.
Yeah.
Like there's some things now that if you say, hey, we'll pay you this, will you do it? The answer is no, because I value certain things above money in certain ways.
Yeah.
At the time, I was okay doing whatever I needed to go do to earn as much as possible, so that way when I figured out what I wanted to go do, I can go do that really quickly and much bigger, more like faster. Got it.
Very interesting. I wanted to pinpoint that because a lot of people are like, they hear it, it's like 37 to 150 to 250. They're like, what the hell happened? It's you sacrificing all that time, energy, and effort, and like tons of calls. Like
I was locked in an office for like 90 hours a week.
True mastery is under talked about today, and like they don't understand. Like you got to do something for like years, and every single day you got to be 100% focused on this before you get like anywhat good and get this 250 a year.
Well, it's also too that people don't. At times, especially with social media, right? Like it's a huge highlight reel of things.
Yeah.
You don't realize all the things that go on behind it, right? Like I'm sure at times people see what you've done with your community or the deals you've gotten done, right? But they don't see that you've been locked in this office for 90 hours a week and that you and the wife leave here at 8 p.m. on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Right? So like things like that people at times miss, and they see a finished product and they think, okay, why can I get there more quickly?
Yeah.
And you lose at times the perspective of it took all this effort to get to this place and now the results come. Yeah. So the income piece of it is huge, right? Yeah. Figuring out how to make more money is one of the single biggest things that will help you. Because if you look at it as saying, hey, think of an investment. If you can make 20% of your money, that's awesome.
People are
if you make 20% if you're making 100K a year and you're spending 90K to go live, 20% on 10 grand is $2,000.
Yeah.
You're way better off figuring out how do I go make that 100, 200, 300, 400.
Yeah.
Right? That's your single biggest thing to go invest into is how to go earn more, whether it be equity, cash, potential skill sets, and that way the percentage you earn on that money in the future can be way more meaningful.
Yeah, a 10% on 100 grand is 10 grand a year. A 5% on 10 million is like
$500,000.
Yeah, it's like okay. Well, what do you want the better return or do you want the bigger principal paying the income that actually supports the life? For sure. Okay, going into the real estate piece. So you get into this position, you have developed the skill set, you've grown, you've separated yourself from the other 120 people there, and you're making good money. Where does real estate enter the mix for you? Is it while you're still working there? Yeah, it was my second job right before I left to go kind of into leadership role. I bought my first property. Yep. I think that was on roofstock.com. Really? Bought a single family home there, yeah. And they try and keep the transaction really private, right? But if you go look at the person LLC, I called them and I'm like, hey, do you have more properties you're selling? Yeah. Turns out, long story short, the guy was a builder, underwater. I ended up buying 9 properties from him over a period of like 8-9 months. Wow. And when is this? This was what years? 2018. Yeah. Good time. 2018 or so. Good time. And what I realized quickly was that a single family, because you look at business, there's 2 things to think of at a super high level. One, can I grow this business to a place that gets me to a place, whether financially, lifestyle-wise, that I want to get to? Yep. 2, if I grow it to that size, do I want to manage this business? And the answer for me in single-family houses was maybe, absolutely not. Yeah. So what I realized was that in my days at the time, right, I had a big leadership role. I had a lot of people under me, and it was a role in which, if I performed really well, I could make $700,000-800,000 a year. Yeah. If I wasn't performing well, I'd make $250,000 and be stressed out every single day, close to getting fired every single week. Yeah. So for me, what I realized was that those single-family houses, the time it took on the transactions, the loan amounts, consuming the attention, it wasn't worth the trade-off of the stress that it brought me and the sacrifice that it would cost me. Yeah. Opportunity cost. It's not all just how can I go get a return on my money. Yeah. It's if you're doing this, what are you giving up to go do that? Yeah. And for me, that was the production. Yeah. That was like my sanity. That's such an interesting way too, because if it requires 5 or 10 hours a week, and you have to put it here. It's like if you just reallocated that 5 to 10 into this main vehicle that you already have, you can go from 250 to like 500, and the return on that You don't factor it into this little, the 20% down that you put down. Yeah. That's an interesting perspective. Okay, cool. So you bought 9 single-family homes?
I bought 9 single-family homes. So I probably had a couple $100,000 in cash at the time.
You felt like the man.
And I actually structured them decently well. So
really?
I got lucky in timing, but I also got lucky in structure. So I had enough to buy 2 of them in cash at a time.
Okay.
And at the time, I'm not sure how it is now. I haven't bought a single-family house in a while and don't plan to.
Yeah.
But I could go buy it in cash and do delayed financing 45 days later.
Really?
And because this guy was underwater on his properties, I can go refinance them, take 75% of the value out of it. So I ended up getting, I think, 9 houses in total for like $50K after it was all said and done.
That's insanity.
So it was really good. Fast forward to one day, I remember it very, very well.
Yeah.
I had a property management team in place.
Yep.
I had a tenant that, I wasn't even sure you can do this. They drunkenly drove over with a lawnmower their sewer line.
Interesting.
And all the houses I had were next to each other. So they somehow got my phone number.
Yeah.
I probably got 50 phone calls in a 48-hour period directly ahead of our board meeting, which I had to go prep slides. I had to go help give all our CFO type stuff, give our CRO information, and I'm just getting pounded on the phone by my property management team, by vendors, by angry tenants, by neighbors. And I'm like, this is great. These are all, they were all listed the next day.
Yeah, really?
So luckily, Zillow was still buying homes.
Yeah.
Zillow bought all the houses.
Interesting.
Sight unseen, cash offers, which is great because at the time they were like $250,000 homes, give or take.
Yeah.
And most people buying a $250,000 home usually use FHA.
Yep.
So in turn, they're putting 3% down, give or take.
Yep.
Any issue, there's no cash gap, they'll go fund.
Yep.
Any appraisal gap you have, it's always an issue. So Zillow was buying them, less fees, got it done in like 3 months.
Yeah.
All gone to them. And then from there, pivoted and started investing actually passively.
Interesting. Okay. So at what point, so I see the connection with the real estate, and I see your main role over here, where it's like a really good opportunity. How does this end? Because you're not currently there right this second. I believe there's some buyout or something happens. And then you're really doubling down on the investing side. What does that look like?
Yeah, so I probably got into about 20 or so LP deals the next year.
That's insane.
And kind of used the money from the houses I sold.
What year was that? 2020, 21?
2019. It's like end of 2019 to like early 21 or so.
Yeah, got it. Good. Most of those deals, I would imagine, are performing okay.
The early ones,
yeah. The early ones. The later ones.
The pre-2021 ones.
Yeah. I'm always just a nugget, like if you ever get around an LP that invested in 2019, 2021, or 22, they're probably, the earlier ones are cool, but 21, 22s, like you got to be cautious about how you enter that conversation.
Yeah. There's definitely deals that we would rather not put money into that we did. Yeah. Right? And learning experience.
Yeah.
And so with that, got in a bunch of deals, LP deals, and realized like, okay, this is actually really cool, right? I can go actually be passive, I can go write a check, and I can be hands off.
Yep.
And for me, that time trade was great. And you start building a lot of relationships with the people you invest with, right? And then in turn, what likely happened with you as well is people around you are like, what are you doing? What are you working on? Like biggest office room, kind of locker room talk is, what are you guys investing into? What are you guys working on? And kind of start talking about what I was doing. Yeah. And in turn, all the groups I worked with saying, hey, do you want to go build a fund and invest into our deals? Right? In terms of like that fund to fund type structure, where you get better economics for it. So started building that out and realized that skill set of raising money was identical to the same skill set that I used to go build out inside sales teams. Yeah, the sales team. So it was very complementary, and that grew really quickly. Yep. I ended up leaving the job I was at to go follow my old CEO again. I was there for about a year as I was building that, and we had a conversation too. He's like, "You've got a limited time here. Like, you have to go do your own thing soon." Really, and interesting. Pushing me in a way that was awesome. Like he, super close to him still. Really appreciate all he's done for me too. And he's like, "You kind of passed where you need to go. Like you have to go leave." Yeah. So I'm there about 2 years at this point. We are at and this point probably raised like $40 million or so. Yeah, that's insane. And at this point, we're in our company, our like senior leadership meeting for the whole sales team. I think he had 9 direct reports of his there and a few ancillary people. Yep. And the start of the meeting, he's like, hey, I have an announcement. He's like, Sam's last day is this. And I'm like, okay. It's now legit. Like, okay. I had no clue that was coming.
Interesting.
So it was like a really good push for saying, like, you're not going full time. You have to go do this. And it's a really good kick in the ass when you say, hey, your job's no longer there.
Yeah. Why do you think he did that? Is it because he knew what's like the potential?
It needed to happen. Yeah. Right? Like in the corporate world, at least in the sales world, you have your base salary, you have equity that ties to performance of the company, and then you have commission. And the commission is unlimited, but it really isn't. Yeah. Because for me, it ties to your territory, your performance, right? Your quota they give you. Yep. So for context, the two-year stints of jobs I had in leadership, I made 60% more in year 1 versus year 2 in each company.
Interesting.
For the same level of production. Because they shifted your territory, they shifted your quota attainment. The same level of production actually was worth way less. So for me, I was kind of getting bitter. Yeah. Right? Where I was, someone else who could have come in and done my job better than I was at the time too, because I was kind of checked out. Yeah. So it was more just like a push. It's like, hey, you're ready. Yep. You need to leave here. It's time. Interesting.
Very interesting. Okay, so that happens, and then at this point, you're already doing the raising capital side of it. Where the fuck does $40 million come from? Who are you? We passed that part really quick. Yeah. Who are you raising money from?
So, I think when you raise money or you're in sales, you pick a business to go build. It's really important to understand who is it that you want to work with, right? Mm-hmm. Who's your customer? Who's your investor? Yeah. Who do you want to choose to work with? And for me, the easiest person to go sell to usually is yourself. Yep. So what I did was I found people who were like myself, right? They were in tech, they were in software, they were in high-end selling or sales leadership roles, because I can go speak their language very well. Yep. I was more of a peer-to-peer conversation. It was a easy entry point. I also knew too that if you look at LinkedIn, right? I'm huge on LinkedIn, and if my LinkedIn dings and I'm in sales, I think money's there.
That's a lead. That's like, there's
Correct.
money. Yeah.
So you know that I can go sort really efficiently as to these people. I can tell you what they make roughly by looking at their profile in terms of their company, tenure, seniority. And I know that they use this every single day, likely attach their phones to work. Yep. So I know who they are, I can speak their language, I know they have enough money, and I know that I have access to them in terms of getting visibility to what they're doing.
Very interesting. I had no idea. So you're a LinkedIn little king, it sounds like.
I spent a lot of time on there.
Yeah. Very interesting. I hope the team's listening. Okay, so you're raising a ton of money, and I agree, 100%. It's like if you're a doctor and you're trying to go raise money, you should go raise money from doctors because you can speak the same lingo, and they trust you because it's like you went through the same trenches that I went through.
Correct.
And you're not going to put me like you understand me. I get that completely. So you're raising money. You kind of get like the boot in a way. It's a good boot, saying go and do your own thing. Like you're too good to be here. What do you go all the way into the fund management, raising capital, and deploying it in the deals, or what's life look like there?
Yes, I kind of went all on doing it, right? So kind of just kept building on doing what I was already doing. Yep. And you kind of go through a period of time, so you're like, okay, this is a whole different shift. Yeah. Right? Like, it's a really good kick in the ass, but it's also you start questioning a lot of things too. Right? Of like, you go from having 20 hours of like fixed meetings in your calendar a week to like nothing. Yeah.
Completely blank white space. What the hell do you do?
So you kind of go through like a lot of figuring things out too, just personally of like figuring out who you are as a person, how you want to go allocate your time. So that was like a really good exercise for me. Right? Like you learn a lot about yourself too in doing it, and because it's different when you build a business when you're making $500,000 a year in a corporate role that you're never getting paid every month. Yep. And you go pivot.
You don't have to even consider, like you just know it's coming. So all of 100% of your attention is like building on the inside. Yeah. It's not like the outside factors. That's an interesting thing.
So then when that gets pulled, luckily I was in a position where I had cash flow coming in. Yeah. I had runway, right? Yep. Looking at runway in terms of I spend this month, I have this much coming in, I have this much in cash, right? Like this is how much timeline I have to go do it. So luckily I was in a position there where I had some runway to go figure things out, but that business kept growing. About a year or so later, actually I think exactly a year later, I started what was previously fully funded, now Freedom Framework in terms of the community itself, and I found a lot of joy doing that, right? Of like actually working with people who are getting to that certain place too. Yeah. Right? I think for me, one of the biggest values or kind of things I've had was getting to go lead my job. and doing it in a way that I can go enjoy my time way more so.
Yep.
Right? And that freedom of doing it. So, I started building that, and here we are now. It's
been fun. It's been such a journey to see you grow and grow. What was it called? Fully Funded, right?
Yeah.
That's so interesting to piece together. So you're in the sales role, you're making really good money there, and then you start personally investing, and you're like, holy shit, the LP side is really cool. And then you tap into your skill set, and you start raising some money for these deals. And at this point, are you connecting with different operators and deploying capital with them?
So I was probably working with 15 different operators at this point, but more so a handful, much more closely.
Yeah.
And
did you identify early on that you wanted to be, hey, you're really good at operations and like sourcing the deal, I'm really good at raising the money, let's get together? Or did you try to be the deal person first, go out, sucks really bad, and then you just realize that you raise capital? Because I see that happen all the time.
So for me, I originally wanted to be a deal person.
Really?
And I just knew that if I was doing deals and owned the responsibility of the deal itself, performance-wise, with a full-time job, if my work got super hectic and I had to go travel somewhere, I had to go be out of pocket for a few weeks, right? People are at risk because of that.
Yeah.
So for me, I wanted a role in which if I take a day to get back to someone as an investor, it may not be the best experience.
Yeah.
Right now, we have people in place to go support that, but their money isn't going to be impacted because of me in that sense.
Yeah.
So I wanted to find something that I could do very confidently with the time I had.
Yeah. Makes a ton of sense. Okay, so I like to get deep.
Yeah.
I like to understand it because it's like I liked it to make sense. When it makes sense, it's like super easy to believe and like follow this pathway forward. So you're raising the money, X happens, you get all this time back. You're trying to figure this life out, which is an interesting thing. I didn't really think like it, but when I left Grant's office, like I was freaking out the next couple weeks. So it was like all my time was used to like full calendar. This is what I'm doing. This is my routine. This is exactly how it's going. And then the next week, it's like you wake up at 8. It's like I don't have anywhere to go. It's kind of a scared feeling. So you go through that, and then you're raising capital all the way in. You get into a ton of deals as co-GP, and then you start fully funded. Now it's Freedom Framework. Am I right? Freedom Framework.
Yeah, so we made that pivot. So
let's talk about that because there's a lot of integrations with what we're trying to do and build. The reason we're trying to build the deal room the way we are is very similar, I would imagine, to what you're doing.
Fully funded, and kind of the reason I started it was more so, and it started like as a random project, honestly.
Yeah.
Right. I was going on a trip.
You saw an issue in the existing marketplace of whatever was being offered. I'm guessing.
Correct.
And you're like, okay, no, it turns out to be a fun project.
Yeah, it was more so something, because part of it, I'm sure, before you started doing what you're doing today, I have people reach out to me all the time to go help them, and
100%.
You do it at first, and you're like, this is actually brain damage, because you're spending a massive amount of your time and like peak productivity time helping someone else, and it's a lot of the same conversations over and over again. And I did consulting for a bit, right? Decently high hourly rate, right? 4-figure hourly rate.
Yeah.
And I hated it.
Yeah.
Because it was the same thing over and over and over again. And I'm like, why don't I just do this where I can do it at more scale, make it more accessible, and help people actually have connection with each other versus myself. So started as a side project. I'm like, hey, if I can go pre-sell this much in this 3-week window, I'll go build it.
Yeah.
If not, I'll get everyone's money back. I'll apologize. I'll take a free call with everyone, and like, I'll move on.
Yep.
We sold it out in 36 hours, and I'm like, okay, now I have to actually go do this. And started building it all out. And the reason I went the capital raising route was that was what got me from corporate to free.
Yeah.
And what I realized, though, fast forward a handful of months, is that that's not the quickest path for a lot of people.
Yep.
Right? Like, I was very, very good at it. There's a lot of people better at me than a lot of other areas. But for me, like, it's really tough to make a lot of money.
That was your superpower. I call them superpowers.
Yeah.
Something you're like 100%. This is like, I'm going to raise my hand. I'm going to be really good at raising capital. I'm going to be really good at the deal side. It's really tough to do both, or even like try to do both.
Yeah, and what I found was that, in turn, a lot of people could get good at it, but to go earn enough to go walk away from your job, it's really tough.
You got to raise a lot of money.
Right, so unless you're doing your own deals, if you're raising money for other people, it's really tough. so what we found was we had our first conference in November, and we had people who were buying businesses, people who were doing car washes, multifamily, storage, development, right? Like oil and gas, all these different asset classes. And what we found was that people like raising capital, but it's more so a vehicle to get to the end result. And rather than looking to help solve that one vehicle, we looked at how do we help people get to the end result.
Yeah.
So now we have coaches across a variety of asset classes. We have coaches in how to buy businesses, how to raise capital, how to buy multifamily, how to buy mobile home parks, how to buy storage, how to buy hotels. Right? Because what we found was that raising capital is great, and it's a skill set I think everyone should have. But if you want to go leave your job quickly, right, replace 10, 20, 30K of income, raising capital is a really tough route to do that really quickly.
Yeah. Very interesting. We'll get back to that because I really want to spend time on, I want to spend more time on the whole freedom framework and like getting from corporate or whatever job they're doing to the life that they want. And I know what you're doing with the traveling side of it. It's like you're building your life around the quality of and like how you want to spend your time. I want to get there. You said something, consulting. I did consulting too.
I did.
And we took a very, very similar path, it sounds like. So I quit and I charged $25,000 a year or $2,000 a month. $2,000 a month or $20,000 up front. We had, I think it was 12 or 13 clients. They're all rich people. They all either wanted an acquisitions person and not have to pay them a salary of $70,000 or didn't hire me for 20, or somebody that's a big firm and they wanted to replicate what Grant was doing with the retail money and raising it. I did it for a year to like buy myself time. It was like 12-month contracts, $2,000 a month. Okay, cool. We're making money. And then we did the Daytona Palms deal. Very hard for me to charge for one-on-one consulting because of how much I hated it. I was up at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. underwriting deals because you just take on you charge a lot and you're like, man, this is awesome. I'm making a lot of money, but then you're like a slave to the person that you just signed up with. Like
and you feel like if you have a conscience doing it, which you do, right? Like you feel very obligated to be very tied to their success, and the one-on-one capacity. It's a lot of work.
There's only so much you can do.
That's a lot of work. And
you mentioned something about the scale component, and what I realized building the deal room with Alicia is like at the beginning I thought they needed me because I was the person with the information, but I was having the exact same conversations with the exact same conversation, different person every single time. So I'm like, why don't we train like a staff member to come in here and like say what we're saying, and then they get the same result. And you start thinking about like the scale component. So we went from charging $25,000 for one-on-one consulting. It's like one call a week with me. And we initially sold the deal room for $2,500. So 10 times less pay and more time. We would meet twice a week. But now we have the scale component of it. And they don't need me and my ability to partner with them. They need other people to like learn from and talk with and potentially partner with. I'm here in Tampa. If we're in Missouri, like you're in Missouri and you have a deal and I don't know anybody in Missouri, I don't know any vendor out there, I don't know anybody. It's like I can't actually help you. But if we had somebody else in Missouri, boots on the ground, already owns stuff and knows everybody there, why don't we just plug them in with you? So we realized that early on, and that's why the scale component is so important for us. Because if we're going to charge money for this, we want to maximize probability of getting a deal done. It's really hard to do it like in the first place, like super hard. It used to be, hey, I'm the man, Gabe's the man. Now it's the deal room. Let's get people in and maximize the probability by having this large scale of good quality people that already own stuff.
Well, also for you too, like on a personal level, I'm doing this now as well, which I think you're starting to too, is that I love Freedom Framework to run without my face being anywhere. Right? So in turn,
that's gonna be a good one.
There are people that I'm pretty good at a couple things. A lot of other areas, not so much. Right? So in turn, we can go bring in people who are way better in those areas than myself. Right? We have someone who teaches marketing and AI.
Really?
We have people who teach how to go buy businesses, right? Like we have really quality people who have done way more than I have, who can go better help people in those areas. And in turn, we give them a big platform. They get great deal flow, right? They get to go build their brand with 1%, 2% of the work that I put into it. So in turn, I'm removing myself from it and becoming more facilitator of great faculty to go help people in different ways. So, and you look at it as this can then become more of a true portfolio company that you then build other things on, right? So, and it allows me more time to go find partners, do deals, right? Be really involved in terms of that versus on the delivery side, right? Because we have people who can go come into those places too.
Yeah, that's funny. Alicia is now the CEO of the Deal Room community, and I am the chairman. The chairman is my official capacity, and then 100% of my focus is doing deals, working with Ian to try to get more deals in and raising capital, really. So we're pressing really hard on the investor side of it, and then spending time with the members inside the community that went through, training, underwrote the deal, submitted it to them. So we've created this process where it's like my time is best spent on, like, after the deal's vetted, underwritten, and now it's like submitting the offer, plugging in the different investor, and then for us going out and buying deals. And our stats and like our customer satisfaction, like everybody's actually happier because Ian can spend all of the ample time that they need to, hold their hand to learn how to underwrite. And I'm not involved, and they're happy. They get their hand held, and then I get to buy my time back, and then Ian's happy too because he gets to learn and help people as well. So it's a very interesting thing whenever you start removing yourself and letting people that are much better than you at this designated area, like accounting. Oh my goodness, I fucking hate accounting. I know you're doing your accounting thing. Maybe we get together and do an accounting thing.
Yeah, so we now own an accounting firm.
Interesting.
We're going through a whole branding exercise on it right now, and
really,
that's something too. I spent 3 years finding the right partners for it.
Yeah.
And I think it's such a big component of
it's
this
huge.
space.
It's massive. Nobody talks about it, dude. Like, if you don't know accounting, you're fucked.
And also too, it's funny. We're actually going through a whole brand exercise. So I have 2 partners. Each of them have a firm today in different areas. We're all merging. And when you look at what differentiates us, the biggest thing we put, what do you think it is?
I don't know.
Think of your biggest complaints with accountants you've had.
My biggest complaints from my side, complaining about the accountant.
Yeah.
They work too slow. They don't care about me.
So the too slow piece of it.
Yeah.
Right. So that was our biggest thing. Is most accountants are actually decent at what they do.
Yep.
Right. There isn't a huge level of variability in performance.
Yeah.
Unless you go to the top of people.
Yep.
But for a lot of things, your biggest thing you prioritize is, do they respond quickly?
Yeah.
Our biggest
100%.
core building block is we will respond to you within 24 hours every single time.
Interesting.
And how do you go build systems, automation, process around that?
Yeah.
To give a good experience.
Interesting.
So by being the customer for so many years of doing it, having these frustrations, you learn, okay, this is a business that I love to be in because the barrier to, not entry, but barrier to how people value you is so low of what you can go deliver.
I understand. We can do a deal live on a podcast. Maybe we'll get your new accounting firm to be the local. Or is it going to serve just Florida, or does it serve everywhere, national?
No, all national.
Yeah, so we could do the resources for all the people inside of our community, free, inter, and the LP side. Any accounting needs, we could basically link them up with you. And that becomes leads from us coming over to you, and it's based on this relationship. It's going back to your ancillary add-ons.
Correct.
That's an interesting thing.
Correct. So for you, even if you look at it, right, if you nail what you're doing for you, the deal room coaching profit should be far less than the money you make from other areas by delivering really well here.
Yeah, it just gets people in.
Correct. Right. You look at it almost as, I view Freedom Framework at times as a loss leader.
Yeah,
right?
It's. I need people in. I need this big ecosystem, and then it's like the MLB. They don't make their money on the tickets. They make their money because every person there buys $150 of food at the thing, and then they get upsold while they're in. I just need people in.
Correct.
You don't need to make all the money getting them in. You can make a ton of money once they're in. It's like a casino. Do casinos charge for you to come in and enter? No,
the hotels are usually free, and you definitely give it back usually.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's the essence of it. Very interesting. All right, I'm gonna get lost. I want to wrap up with but I want to get to the end of the story. So how important is time to you? Because you see me and Alicia pretty much every single day. We're just building focus, super focused. We're also this is the last couple of years, the first years we've actually had real money. Making a couple hundred at Grants is cool, but you only save, $50 grand a year. for you, I think you're maybe a year or 2 years ahead of us, and I've seen you value your time so differently than a lot of the hustle, go 100% at all times. Can you talk to us a little bit about why you're making the decisions that you make? You probably say no to a lot of things that you could do to make money in. And I think it's hard for people to have the ability to say no when they're giving up on the money to like go out and travel. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I can give an example. So we both have a mutual friend who spent 11 years building a company, sold it, made multiple 8 figures in doing so. Those 11 years, he sacrificed his entire life, right? In terms of, not taking care of your health, not experiencing things, and in turn, now he's done very, very well financially. He can go make a lot of plays, right? For me, I don't know if I'll have that big exit. I'm also really okay with it. Yeah. Right? Because if you actually think about it and take time to say, hey, what if I lived exactly how I wanted to live? What would I spend? Yeah. Right? Like, this always changes.
We've
right?
had this conversation. This is this is a good one.
It's dynamic. So, for example, if you're like, hey, if I lived exactly how I wanted to go live, right? Like, and you look at, I can change when you have kids, if you live a certain way, right? And it's always shifting. Yeah. But if you do it regularly of saying, this is what I need every single month, with some buffer. Yep. To live exactly how I want to live.
Some fun buffer.
Correct. Yeah. Right. So for me, those things go into like, what house do I want to be in? What travel do I want to go do? What do I want to go have the ability to go spend? Right. What do I want a second house? All those things, like you get to your number, and then you start thinking about it. Okay, if the number is this, multiply it by 12. Yep. And then how can I get to that income? Doing it in a way that I can enjoy my life as much as possible around that. Interesting. And still go build things. Very right. So I also operate more so in like a sprint walk type mentality.
What does this mean?
So, for example, you go spend 6-12 months in a sprint of building something, right? Then go take some time off. Yeah. Right. So like I like doing things that I can go put either money, I can go hire against it, I can go build systems, process, scale against it for a period of time. I call it like the eat shit window. And once you build it, that thing can keep running without you. Yeah. Right? It's like right now we're kind of in that phase of Freedom Framework where we pivoted, we're growing again, we're looking to go build certain things. This right now is a window in which we will not make a lot of money, but we'll build a really good foundation. That can then be a great portfolio company for me, a great platform for other things, and that it'll run a lot of it without me within 12 months. Yeah. That's my biggest goal. Interesting. So I look at things in the sense of sprinting and walking. Yeah. And it's also figuring out too, like part of it is just paying yourself first in time. So for example, right, like there's certain activities I like doing, whether it be playing basketball. That's a good one. Paying yourself in time. Correct. Paying yourself in time. So think about it. Like what are things that you guys never don't do, like you always prioritize? What do you mean? So if you and Alicia had things in your calendar that were non-negotiables, you had to do them. Yeah. You start filling those things in, whether it be going to the gym, whether it be going on date nights and dinners, on trips. Gym is absolute non-negotiable. First thing in the morning, and then Sundays. We've added in Sundays is do nothing Sundays. It's R&R. We had to add it in. It was 7 days, like going crazy all the time, but we've slowed down a little bit. Sunday is do nothing Sunday, and then gyms in the morning. Apps, like if I don't go to the gym in the morning, I will freak out. Yeah. So on mine, like I have certain things like that as well, right? That are, my calendar is blocked in. Yep. My Mondays, you cannot put a call on my calendar Mondays. Yeah. Right? Because that's my day of just like getting certain work done. I keep it as a flex day. Yeah. I'm traveling a lot on Mondays too. Like really? I have that day blocked. Yeah, it makes sense. The gym certain days, right? I try and build into it, go see certain friends at certain times. Yeah. And then everything besides that can go fill in. Yep. So like you kind of look at it as like those big rocks for you, like if you look at the analogy of the jar, the big rocks go in and this kind of sand and small rocks fill in. So if you pay yourself first with time, you're also usually like a better person to be around as well. Because that's what you want to do. Correct. Yeah. So if you solve that first, versus most people do it last, right? They have these 5 days a week, they're super stressed out. Then they have these 2 days, they go in some kind of a binge or bender in the weekend, and they never actually truly have time for themselves to go figure out what it is they want to go do. Yeah. Like now I'm totally okay on a Friday night doing nothing, sitting on the couch. Yeah. Because I can go to a dinner on a Tuesday. I can go play basketball with friends on a Wednesday, right? Like you have those things you build in that gives that flexibility.
Very interesting. Good frame too. All right. So, and thank you for that. I think it's important because I admire it to a certain degree because we are in that kind of eat shit phase, like build. Adding in the Sundays, like that's really
also
really
gives
really
you
helpful.
some pressure too. So I'm going to Japan on the 30th of March. We're recording this on the 5th or 6th, or whatever day it is.
Yep.
And part of that was we're going through a phase down our business. We brought on a sales guy. We're doing some paid ads. We're kind of building out some systems. So for me, it was get my stuff together before I leave for Japan. So it gives you like a hard deadline of like push for that.
Yeah.
And then in that trip, don't take a single call.
Yeah. Interesting. So I'm going to DC tomorrow. I have a test. I go and see my dad once or twice a year. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, come back Sunday. And this is our first true test because we have the team in here. Alicia's staying back running it. Where I'm committing. They hear me say this. I'm committing to not being on my phone or the laptop for like the entire weekend. We'll see how it happens. Very interesting. Okay, so I want to wrap the podcast up with the freedom framework and like the information. Like imagine, because a lot of the audience is people that are in W-2 positions. Maybe they have their own business, but it makes them $100,000. It's like they have their own job, but they control their own hours. So they think. What is the best? I guess, do you have to listen to the person, and is it person by person, or do you have a general frame of like you're in your W-2 job? Are you looking for different skill sets to go make more money? Do you invest money from your current W-2 position into an investment vehicle and you put together like a plan? Like what is that bridge between somebody that's in their W-2 and wants to go to free, whatever that freedom looks like for you?
Yeah, a big thing we look to help people go solve for is how to go actually run your business like an owner. I think myself, I'm working through as well, right?
I think we all do it.
You go from, say you're an actual employee, right? You're a salaried employee.
Yep.
Like you're truly an employee. You go start your own business. You're an employee in that business, right? Because you're working in the business every day.
Yep.
And if you leave, business breaks.
Yep.
Next, then you go to kind of more operator, right? Where you are in the business, but also working on the business, right? Kind of making that progress. We want people to get to the place, and something I'm working on constantly too, I'm not there yet myself, is truly working on the business in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Where you are the owner of that business, you have someone operating it, right? Where you can then go leave, and things actually should go better when you leave.
Yeah.
So we look to help people go solve for is, one, getting clarity on like what route they want to go take.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people we talk to are saying, hey, I make a couple $100,000 a year plus in a corporate job. I've got some kind of competency, some kind of skill set.
Yep.
I want to be around people who are taking action in a certain way. I don't have friends I can relate to about this. Everyone's pretty content doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
How do I get exposure to those people?
Yeah.
And how do I get clarity on what routes I can go take?
Yeah.
So for us, right now you're all in a multifamily. We have a component of that.
Yeah.
But for us, we have 7, 8 different avenues people can go take.
Yeah.
And we see it typically falls into 3 main buckets, right? Commercial real estate and different subsets of it, obviously.
Yep.
Buying a business.
Yeah.
And then raising capital. Usually more to the former two, leveraging the third to go help facilitate those.
Yeah.
And it depends on what skills that person has, to how much capital they have to go do, what kind of risk they want to go take, right? What their timeline is.
Yeah.
Because if you look at buying a company, say your goal is to go replace $200,000 of your income, you can do it in one transaction.
Yep.
You buy one company doing $500,000 a year with SBA debt.
Yep.
You can likely go replace your income day one, that $200,000. Likely hire an operator to go run it as well after a period of time. After you pay your debt service, pay an operator, you're likely there.
Yeah.
Real estate, right? That probably takes to replace
It's tough.
$200K. You're probably looking at what, $16,000 a month, $17,000 a month. So probably 50 doors that you own most to yourself.
Yeah, and you're doing JVs 50-50.
Correct.
Like if you do what we do, 70-30, 80-20, you're doing like 5 or 6 deals until you get to $20,000 a month.
Yeah, and it's also important too.
We're like 9,500. We're almost at $10,000 a month on asset management, and we own $50 million of real estate.
But it's a different model though. So you're syndicating those deals, right? So the people in your group, I think, kind of fall more into the JV type structure.
Dude, we love small deals. Like do a 10 or a 30 unit JV at 50-50, or just like if you don't have a lot of assets and you're super hungry, like the people in the come up, Go get a first position and a second position and keep 100% of the deal. Don't even bring in a partner.
Or go raise investors as debt, right? Like you can go get.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The equity that you would otherwise have to come up with. How do you raise it? It's either debt or equity. Raise it as debt so you can keep 100% of the deal, and like just do like 2 or 3 deals and you're there.
Yeah, I mean that's what. I know you and Axel on too.
I'm not the biggest fan. I know I'm doing it because we have an audience. We can do not many people can raise fucking $10 million from a click of their button on an email list to like.
And your margins are also
people.
way lower too. So I had this conversation actually on our podcast with Rob Beardsley, one of my close friends too, of like how sponsors get paid. Mm-hmm. It's interesting. So if you do multifamily syndication, your income goes from here to here to here because you have to go hire a lot of people. And you need deals to go stay alive. But if you're someone who you're like, hey, my goal is just to go replace $10K a month, and then I can go figure out what I want to do when I grow up.
Yep.
The smaller deals that you own a lot of equity in yourself.
It's the most probable pathway.
100%.
And I realized that probably a year into building the deal room, because coming from Grant's office, all like the smallest deal I did was $50 million, the largest is $750, and like that's all.
What are those deals cash flow?
I have 4, 5.
No. I'm saying like those aren't deals that are going to cash flow.
No. It's a fee-driven business. I look at commercial real estate. You have multifamily, and then you have the big deals, and then you have small deals. The big deals is like syndications, selling securities, like building out a real firm. Small deals is for the individual that doesn't want to like build out $1 billion real estate firm. They just want to get to $20,000 a month.
Correct.
Of recurring. Okay, let's do 4 deals. Let's have a 50-50 partner or raise the money as debt, and then you do the project. You got to understand it's a good deal. Refinance, kick them out, and then own the deal 100%. And keep 100% of the cash flow.
It's also, people don't talk about it enough too, is that if you only have to go raise $1 million for a deal versus 20, your terms in this can be way better.
Yeah.
Because you can be told no 20 times more. You can be told no here and still get your raise done. You may just have to go focus on people who don't have exposure to other types of deals.
Yep. I see it happen all the time.
Like if you're competing in these big deal section, people go, they're offering this, they're offering that, right? Like it becomes a marketing play versus a just relationship play at times, and a totally different dynamic. Like if you look at Axel, right, who I know we're both friends with.
Yes, big fan of him.
He buys a ton of deals that are smaller that he can go cycle himself with his own money.
Yep.
Right, and like total freedom, total control. Also, I think you probably realize this too, is that these big deals, right? Say the par value is $1, they're likely going to trade for 98 cents to $1.02. The small deals, that's a 16 unit, probably going to trade for 65 cents to $1.30.
Yeah, you can.
Your range is wild.
So where I was going with it is we ran it for the year, and it was just get people in, listen, like what actually works. Because I'm a really big proponent. It's like if we're going to charge money for this stuff, you better be fucking good at what it is you actually help people and like have the proof and like data. So I look at data a lot. How many people come in? How many people actually show up to the calls? It's like show up rate. And then how many people take action and submit offers? And then of the offers that we're submitting, how many deals are actually closing? Like what is the actual close ratio? And at the beginning, it's syndication. That's all I know. It's like you just do a $50 million deal. And as time goes on, I see more data happen, and I'm like, interesting. All these like 12-unit deals and 10 units and 8s and 16s and 24s are actually the ones that close. And I was like, why? Well, the equity is $400,000 or like $700,000. It's like, okay. Who here has like $400,000 who wants to double money in 2 years? It's pretty easy to actually find that. The probability of finding that partner for $500,000 or the debt for $500,000 is so much greater than $50 million. And how long does it take to physically renovate 10 units opposed to 252 units?
Yeah, I mean 10 units. If you depending on
even if it's full, it takes less than a year. Like for you to be done with your business plan and stabilized and be able to have a liquidity.
You can just do it organically as you have.
Yeah. So
non-renewables.
We have found a big niche. How do you pronounce it? Is it niche or niche?
Yeah, either's fine.
Is it one of them? Okay. So we found that in the adult flips. Nobody else calls it. I coined it. So I'm sold. Adult flips for the people that we serve. We're not serving ex-BlackRock institutional people that want to go build a $100 million fund. I've never done it. I can't do that. I can talk about it, but I've never done it. the people that we serve are the normal, everyday, regular people that make good money in their W-2. Maybe they bought 9 single-family homes or flipping duplexes and stuff, and they want to move to bigger deals and not have to constantly flip single families. They'd rather flip apartment buildings or refinance and keep the cash and build it around the lifestyle that they want. They don't want to have a staff of 5 acquisition guys and asset management team and dealing with the investor relations side of it.
Yeah, and also
just want a portfolio.
It becomes something too where if you're like, okay, I need $10,000 a month to feel free.
Yep.
Once you solve for that, you then go figure out what you want to go do.
Yeah.
Right. So if you get to that place with doing 3 small deals and you're there, that gives you that bridge to freedom to go figure out,
to think,
what is it that I want to actually go do, and take a step back and think about it.
Yeah.
For example, we had a guy in our community took that same route. Right, I think he had like 40, 50 units, left his corporate job making like $200,000 a year, and now he's like, I'm going to go build a single family fix and flip business and do syndications.
Yeah.
Because syndication business, in a lot of ways, it's a 5-year play.
It makes a ton of sense at scale.
Correct.
At scale.
But it's also, if you can go delay those earnings for 5 years and hopefully have way bigger earnings in terms of cash, that's a play.
Yep.
But if the issue people have is that they chase this route, they get a fee up front, they burn that fee in headcount, lifestyle, whatever it is, and they're like, oh shit, I have to go wait 3 to 5 years for sales to go cycle to make money.
Yep.
I need to go pump volume somewhere, and it becomes a bad cycle.
Yep.
If you have your bases covered, it allows that flexibility to go really figure out what you want to go do.
Yeah. Very interesting. I could talk about this stuff forever. Okay, let's wrap up with what is the mission of the Freedom Framework? That's a tough one. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
The Freedom Framework.
Oh, dude, I used to have a horrible stutter growing up too.
Really?
It's bad for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Just wait until you're on a stage and say, you're going to mess it up. I've done it before. What is your guys' mission? What is, like, who are you serving? Why are you doing this? There's no shortage of people that have the grand idea of creating a big community and doing all this crazy stuff. You and I both see people try and then randomly shut it down. What is your mission behind this and why?
So, I think most people, like, there's a few days in your life where you look back and you're like, that day meant a ton to me, and it shifted the direction of where I'm going forward. For me, that was leaving my job, right? Super scary, and a lot of mistakes I made along that path that I could have done it quicker, more efficiently, way less pain in the ass in certain ways too, and way higher likelihood of sustained success. So for me, it's how can I help people go leave their jobs, right? Like as simple as it sounds, and go be more intentional about what they're doing. So I give you an example. So we had someone who just joined recently, makes $800,000 a year, and he was in insurance sales.
Great business.
And he's probably 35, give or take, and like serious medical condition from stressing himself out, right? Like, so part becomes people can go solve for income. Yeah. But they're missing all these other areas of life. Yeah. Where I think we can help, or like the intention of it is how to help people find actual freedom as it relates to both financially, lifestyle-wise, health, relationships, right? And kind of having all that under one roof. Yeah. Right? So missions like go help 1 million people go leave their jobs, but leave it in a way in which they don't cheat themselves out of other areas of life too. Yeah. What would your biggest piece of advice be for the person that's watching this podcast now, in their W-2, or maybe they're in a sales position? I like to call out the comfortable people that think they're good, but they don't actually know what's coming. The person that's making between 100 to 200, and they're taking sales calls in sweats on their penthouse high-rise apartment, probably 25 to like younger 30s, and they know that they can do more in life. They know they have more potential, but they're too scared to take that risk because they're like, making 150 to 200 grand. What's your biggest piece of advice to them? Because you've lived it, you've gone through it, you've now been like 4 or 5 years after it, so you've grown a lot from it. What's the best piece of advice for that person that knows they can do more, that's just a little bit scared? It's really tough because most people would love to be in that position. Like you're in like a top few percent position if you're doing that. I know. If you're at home, you're taking calls in your sweats. Yep. Right. You're in a good apartment. You're not miserable. That's not a bad place to be. I know. But it's really tough because the more comfortable you get, the bigger and more daunting it becomes to go take action, to go leave.
I know.
So what I'd say is getting exposure to people, right? Like so I can view it as like the art of possible, of like what's possible. So I think I posted this recently.
That's
talking
a good
about
one. The art of possibility.
Yeah.
We got a couple.
So I look at from the standpoint of when I first started in corporate, making $37,000 a year. I'm like, these are making 150.
Yeah.
That's possible now.
Yep.
Then it went to 400. Then it went to $1 million. Then it went to like people actually own their own companies.
Yeah.
So seeing what else is out there is really important as to who you get to surround yourself with.
Yep.
Because I think it's important of like who you take advice from. For me, I was 28 when I left my job. I got at 25, my last job, and I was the youngest person on the executive team by 12 years. And you look around, I asked them for advice of saying, hey, I'm considering doing this. They're like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Why would you go leave?
Yeah.
So I think it's important to go find people that are living a way that you want to go live and have that conversation with them.
Yeah.
Right? Get exposure to people who are nailing in all the areas of life that you want to cover.
Yeah.
So for example, if I wanted to go learn about basketball and I found a great basketball coach, I'd listen to them about basketball.
Yeah.
But if I want to go become really good at investing, you find someone who's really good at investing.
Yeah.
If you want to find someone who has a really good quality of life, go find that person as well.
So you're not going to listen to the Uber man that drove you here on
Correct.
Where to put your money?
So, like, that place of comfortability, and what I find too is that some people, they realize, I call it the boomerang investor at times too.
Yeah.
So for them, they're like, hey, I want to go do my own deals, I want to go be involved. Oh, this is actually really hard.
Yeah.
I'm actually really content doing what I'm doing today.
Yeah.
Part of getting exposure and seeing what else is out there may help you actually be more comfortable doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right? That person who's making $200,000 a year in phone calls, they may look at buying a business or buying real estate and be like, this sucks.
Yeah, operating, all this. No, I just want to worry about like focused on production.
For them, that may actually help them long term of saying, I'm actually way happier doing what I'm doing because I realize what else is out there and that's not for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's
it's the what if you never actually get the
Correct.
exposure to it. It's like, I could have this. But
So, yeah, it's figuring out what else is out there, finding people who are doing things that interest you, get exposure to it, and like take some level of action.
Yeah.
I think at times people just go consume all this content and feel like they're making some kind of progress, but you can kind of trick yourself of consuming versus creating, or taking a level of action is making you move forward in a certain way.
Yeah.
I think education is hugely important, right? A lot of why people join communities like ours, information's everywhere.
Yep.
Everything that we teach in the community, you can find yourself on YouTube.
You can not even YouTube, ChatGPT. Dude, you can learn anything. I don't understand this. Can you explain it to me like a fifth grader? Yeah, like, dude, you can learn anything with ChatGPT.
The information is not why people join.
Yeah.
Like, that's everywhere. Likely better than I say it myself.
Yep.
Right? So people join for accountability, for action, right? To be around people who are actually doing it and the implementation of things.
Yeah.
So to that person, I think it's getting exposure to what else is out there and like taking some level of action. If you have that itch, like, go scratch it, and go scratch it in a way that gives you the highest likelihood of getting clarity and having success if you choose to go down that route.
Yeah, very interesting. All right, where do people connect with you? Where do we send people? Is there a website, Instagram? Where do we stay in contact with you?
Yeah, so super active on LinkedIn, just Sam Silverman. LinkedIn.
You can raise a lot of money on LinkedIn.
You can. And then freedomframework.co.
Okay.
Is your site. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, thank you very much, Sam, for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, if you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure to drop a like, a comment. Most importantly, share it with a friend so we can get more people watching this. Thank you very much, and we'll see you on the next one.